FPL Game Week 14. We're going to have a look at my transfer plans and team selection. In today's video, we're going to take a look at how my team is lining up because, of course, there is another FPL deadline fast approaching on Tuesday afternoon with a midweek round of fixtures. So we'll have a look at how Game Week 13, but we'll have a look at some potential transfers. A lot of you are considering selling Brian and Mbeumo like myself. I've got a potentially injured Alexander Isak in my team. I've got 3 free transfers to play with this week, so let's have a look at my early Game Week 14 team selection. What is up, everyone? FPL Harry here. Before we dive in, 2,000 likes is the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here. And I know probably seems weird having a team selection video out on a Sunday evening, but of course there is a Tuesday afternoon deadline, so I can't really do transfer plans and team selection in the space of 2 days. That would be a little bit of too many videos for you. So we're going to dive in. I'm recording during the Liverpool-Manchester City game. It's actually half time, but the ranks and stuff are taken before that game kicked off. Was on 56 points before the game started, and I basically hadn't moved rank. I do have Salah captain, who at half-time has currently picked up an assist, so I'm quite happy with that. Erling Haaland and Manchester City have failed to score, and I did bench Rico Lewis. So at the moment, we're looking all right in that game, but let's see what the second half brings. Again, things went pretty well. There are a couple of players that I'm not that happy with, and we'll talk about transfers later on. It was nice to see Palmer getting back amongst the points. There was a little bit of doubt about his positioning and his returns, but even as a non-captainer, it's nice to see him doing well because he is a big captaincy shout going into next week away at Southampton. Chris Wood, I gave one more week in the expense of not going Pedro, and that paid off. Brian and Mbeumo didn't pay off keeping him for that game. Matheus Cunha didn't get anything. And Alexander Isak looks like he's picked up an injury. And of course, Semenyo was suspended when Bournemouth decided to go and score 4 goals. However, the midfield points were good. We had Palmer, we have Saka, and then of course, Captain Mo Salah at the moment. And then defensively, Gabriel did play as we all expected, scored 9. Elsewhere of that, I have a total of 1 point. David Raya scored 2, Aït-Nouri 0, and Mykolenko coming in the final week I decided to play him with a -1, conceding 4 goals and picking up a yellow card. But it looks hopefully like we're going to be maybe flat, maybe slightly green arrow, depending on what happens in the rest of that Liverpool game. But let's have a look at Game Week 14. So, as we'd normally do in the transfer plans video, things are going to be slightly different in this video because I'm trying to combine 2 videos into one, basically. Let's have a look at how my team lines up before I make any transfers. I'm currently playing a 3-5-2 because Chris Wood goes away to Manchester City and he's sat on the bench. And now that I actually look at it, I don't think that's the worst fixture because Manchester City defensively have been pretty awful. But I do think it's going to be time that I probably part ways and sell Chris Wood this week because there are some forwards I really, really want. Defensively, it's not the best. We've got Aït-Nouri at the moment away at Everton. Gabriel did go off at half-time, so he's currently yellow flagged. But Arteta did say it's likely to be a precaution. He should be fine for Manchester United midweek. And at the moment, I'm starting Rico Lewis at home to Nottingham Forest. It could be Mykolenko at home to Wolves. Greaves at home to Crystal Palace. Wasn't in the squad for Ipswich again. I basically have 5 defenders this week that I don't mind playing. Gabriel, of course, I'm happy with. He does have a yellow flag, though. Aït-Nouri, he's not been that great. And Wolves have given away, well, they gave away 3 penalties in that game. So basically, defensively, I'm just going to let it be this week. I'll play 3 out of the 5. I'm pretty sure Aït-Nouri and Gabriel will be in there. In the moment, it's going to be Rico Lewis. Into midfield, Cole Palmer I like, Saka I like, and Salah I like. Of course, they're the long-term picks. Cunha up front, I'm very happy with. Looking at ones that I'm not 100% certain on, Semenyo's fine. Like, Bournemouth are looking like they want to score goals. Whether he starts or not is a little bit of a debate. And Mbeumo, though, Isak, and Chris Wood are the 3 that I might potentially sell. Chris Wood's not a priority sell, but the fixtures coming up are not that great. Isak, a little bit of a doubt. And Mbeumo, I think, has had 1 shot in the past 4 games, and Brentford are scoring goals without any of his involvement. So just to have a look at the forwards that I'm looking at buying into my team this week. So Chris Wood and Alexander Isak are both potential transfers out. I already was considering selling Alexander Isak before he went off with a slight knock. And I think it's a good excuse for me to go and sell him. I'm not that confident on Newcastle being sort of consistent with their performances. Some of the upcoming fixtures are good, but Callum Wilson's back. There's just too much going on there. I do think I'll probably sell him this week. And the other one is Chris Wood. Chris Wood has been a great servant for me, and I might regret selling him. But Manchester City away, Man United away, Aston Villa at home. I do think there are some potentially better fixtures elsewhere that I could look at. The 3 forwards that I'm potentially looking to bring in are Pedro, although a blank on Friday evening, and he was a little bit reserved. I don't think that will necessarily stick. I do think they'll play him a little bit further forward where he is at his best. 5.7 million, and I haven't made the transfer yet. I haven't made any transfers yet, but I do think this is one. Despite the results this week, I wanted Chris Wood for 1 more week, and I do still plan on making that swap. Evan Nilsson is next. Now, because I have Semenyo, I don't think I'll go and buy Evanilson. But if you don't have Semenyo, then I actually understand that he might be a very reasonable buy. The only slight concern with him is his minutes. Just like João Pedro, he's not playing 90 minutes every week. He's not on penalties, although he is winning a lot of penalties at the moment. So I probably would prefer João Pedro in my team because I have Semenyo and I don't want to double up on Bournemouth. And I like João Pedro's fixtures a lot. And then the other one is Jackson. I've spoken a lot that I think Jackson is a better pick than Isak, and I feel like I made a mistake on it a couple of weeks ago. He looked really good. He got subbed about 70 minutes, which means he feels like he's ready to start the Southampton away game midweek. I don't think they would have done that if they didn't want him to play. He didn't pick up his 4th yellow card as well, which is a real boost to him. So that is the plan at the moment. I think João Pedro and Jackson are the top ones, but if I didn't own Semenyo, I would be looking at Evanilson. And then we have a look at Bryan Mbeumo, and I know a lot of you are looking at selling him this week. The issue for me is trying to find a replacement that I really like to buy into my team. I know some of you will be having a look at Jared Bowen. Their upcoming fixtures, including Leicester this week, are quite nice. Is it exactly what I want, looking at the way West Ham formed over the past couple of weeks? Probably not, but the fixtures coming up for Bowen are really nice. The only issue is he's the most expensive of all the players that I'm considering buying in. So I'm not really sure it's worth spending more money on player I'm less certain about. The one that's not on this list actually that's probably worth mentioning is Bruno Fernandes. He did pick up 2 assists in the game against Everton this week. They do go Arsenal away and Manchester City away and Forest at home in their next 3 games. So I don't really think this is the time for me to go and buy any of the Manchester United players. They are on radar, but I don't think if I was buying, I would buy this week. I'd probably just keep Mbeumo for a few more weeks and then go to them later down the line. Next up is a Spurs midfield. I've got Kulusevski in the graphic. He's actually the one that didn't start this week, but I think it's fair to say that Kulusevski has been their best player so far this season, and they are definitely better when he's in the lineup, and they drop points when he wasn't playing. Brennan Johnson did get the goal, and he is one that I'm looking at, but I'm just not certain, given we expect Kulusevski to come back into the lineup next week, exactly how many minutes he's going to get and start over this busy period. So Kulusevski, for certainty of minutes, I think, despite not playing today, is probably the one that I would go with. I could go to Morgan Rogers, just the cheapest, just take the money, bank it, and use it elsewhere to invest in someone like a Van Dijk in my defence, for example. I could do that. He did get taken off pretty early, about 65, 70 minutes in against Chelsea today. And I do personally think there's a good chance he doesn't start one of Brentford or Southampton in the next couple of games. But I do like the long-term pick of Morgan Rogers. And the most popular one that you are posting is Mitoma. I posted a poll on Twitter and almost I think about a third of respondents said they were going to a Saka, Palmer, Salah, who I already own. About a third were going to a mid-priced option, and most of you said Mitoma. So he is very popular, and he did score, but I have missed the game, and I do plan on going with João Pedro, and I'm not certain I want the double up. Now, I could go with Mitoma and not go João Pedro, because Mitoma's minutes look really good, but I do think João Pedro's value is really good, being the cheapest and on penalty. So that's probably where I'm going to go in the forward line, so I don't love Mitoma. Which basically means I don't love any of the midfielders I want to bring in this week. And I might just give myself a couple more weeks and play Mbeumo away at a Villa team who have just conceded 3 goals to Chelsea in a pretty routine performance for Chelsea. Play him maybe at home to Newcastle in game week 15 if I have to. At the end of the day, he's still not a bad asset and he's still on penalties. I don't love it, but I don't think it's the end of the world me playing Bryan Mbeumo at the moment. So there are some options I quite like, but none of them tick all the boxes for me to use a transfer buying him. So going back to have a look at my lineup. So David Raya is going to start in goal at home to Manchester United. Just because although Fabianski has an easier fixture, I do think with it being the first game under Van Nistelrooy, I do think Leicester might score in this game. So we're going to go with David Raya. We will double up on the defence. As I said, we're going to play Gabriel with Raya at home to Manchester United. I fully expect Gabriel to be back. His goal threat is good. And I do think the clean sheets will come for Arsenal. And I doubled up and I'm still happy with it. Aït-Nouri for the attacking threat against an Everton team who look like they don't want to score very many goals at the moment, although Wolves look like they want to concede a lot. And then it is Rico Lewis at the moment. That might change by full time if they capitulate again against Liverpool in the second half, but I probably will just start Rico Lewis and hope he plays. There is a chance he doesn't start, but Kyle Walker has not been good at all, so I do expect Rico Lewis to keep his place. Into midfield, we have Cole Palmer, Saka, Salah, and at the moment, I plan on playing Bryan Mbeumo against the Aston Villa team. Just as a Chelsea fan who was at the game today, based on what I saw from Aston Villa, I don't love that. And I do think I'm going to play him and actually bench Semenyo. It's not always easy, but Semenyo is the one I often just drop to the bench because he rarely hauls in games. He does have Spurs at home, which is not the worst fixture, so he could end up finding his way to the starting lineup. But at the moment, I plan on benching him. And then up front, I plan on using 2 of my 3 free transfers this week to sell both Chris Wood and to sell Alexander Isak. and to bring in Jackson and João Pedro to go in my 3-4-3 alongside Matheus Cunha. Pretty happy with how that forward line looks. I do think Jackson will start after that early sub going away to Southampton, and I'm pretty happy just to get rid of Alexander Isak at the moment. In terms of captaincy, there are two real names, Cole Palmer and Mo Salah. Bukayo Saka has been great, but it is Manchester United this week, so we'll leave it off him for this week. It's between those two. I have to say, I'm pretty certain that Southampton have got three big players out. I think it's Downs in their midfield, Harwood Bellis, and then Dibbling, all suspended for this game. So I'm hopeful that Chelsea will win this. So at the moment, Cole Palmer actually has the captaincy armband, with Salah having the vice captain, because Newcastle have not been that bad defensively recently. So at the moment, Salah captain, vice captain on Mo Salah, two planned transfers of Wood to João Pedro and Isak to Jackson. At time of recording, I haven't made them. I may end up making them tonight, depending on price changes, although livefpl.net that I'm using for my price changes at the moment haven't really predicted any of those players to change. So at the moment, I might hold off, but if I do make it, I'll post it on Twitter and stuff like that. That is all. This is a transfer plans team selection video. Let me know any questions you have in the comment section down below. In terms of videos for the rest of the week, there'll be the podcast out on Monday evening. So if you want to watch Know the Score, that'll be there as useful. There'll be a transfer targets video out some point on Monday, probably in the morning. And then there'll be a final decisions video on Tuesday morning before a deadline stream on Tuesday evening. So make sure you're subscribed. If that's not enough content to subscribe for, I don't know what is. Make sure you've liked. 2,000 is the aim. Drop any questions you have in the comments, or any players you want discussing in that transfer targets video tomorrow. Drop it all in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe before you go. Turn on notify for all the videos in a very short space of time, and I'll be back again very soon.